So let me read, and in the meantime, I will interject with my own thought when I present. Okay, here goes. Dear students, welcome to the department. You are here with dreams, and dreams are made of stories. Stories is nowhere to be found amongst the current available atoms in the whole universe. The COVID-19 pushes everyone to find new perspectives on life, on economy, on society, on selves, on values, on education. My name is Z Jaafar, the head of the department. I am welcoming you to the department with this message, that you are here for a reason. You are here for more than just getting information, more than just getting a certificate, more than just getting the skills to be a future successful architect. You are here because you want to elevate your inner being to the highest achievable level you can attain. For this, I need to tell you, you are more than who you think you are. We have accepted your applications to enter this department, to enroll into the program based on your grades, your CGPAs, your previous certificates. But we know you are more than that. You are a human born with all the necessary capacities to achieve the highest level you can be, and that is to be the best human. Apart from your grades and certificates, you are a human being. You have stories, memories, sentiments, passions, pains, fear, love, and lots more. Don't forget that getting this far, you have proven you have all the necessary tools to achieve the highest level you can get. Okay? We are in VUCA times. When you heard the word VUCA, it means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. People realize no single approach in education can solve our future needs. We have advanced so much in technology as a species that we have arrived at IR 4.0. Now people are looking at what is next. And lately, people have identified the next agenda in education and in all disciplines of life is to focus on humanity, to focus on the development of the human self. Okay, I will conduct the next part of my lecture in a series of stories. I have in all 4 stories to tell you today, this morning. Okay, when we talk about human, this will bring us to the first story, alternative to humanity. Okay, this is Cameron Sinclair. Okay, he together with Kate Storr launched Architecture for Humanity, a company, a non-profit company, in April 1999. When they were moved to take action to create temporary housing for refugees in war-torn Kosovo, they managed to garner help from all over the world to help design schools and community facilities to help the poor, the displaced people. But then you have to ask, the other side of the coin, is there an architecture not for humanity? What was that all about? All this while, architecture are not for human? If you notice lately, the words humanity or specifically humanitarian have really negative connotations to it. I mean, when you talk about architecture for humanity, it addresses the problems currently exist in our modern society. So the story of the Architecture for Humanity, eventually, I think lately, I heard that they went bankrupt because of financial problems. But the company really did good. They did a lot of good works for people and create awareness among architects and designers that we have to be aware of our humanity issues. Okay. Sad story because eventually in the current economic system, the modern world, especially the capitalist market, this kind of effort find it very difficult to survive. But I hope the spirit continues to live on. Okay. So when we talk about humanity, these are the kind of pictures that we normally comes to our mind. Okay. We hear people talk about humanity. It is often a rallying cry for help, for addressing many crises in humanity. When we hear humanitarian effort, we often think of all the help you provide for people suffering from war, from hunger, poverty, or the crisis. Now you have to ask this question, why the term humanity is used here? This is because I believe the default system, the existing system, is devoid of human essence. So I want to conclude this first story that we don't realize that our current global civilization are based on systems which lack essence of humanity. We lack the essence of humanness, okay? Otherwise, the reactions would not have the word humanity or humanitarian in it. Our economy, our politics, our law, our architecture, our engineering, our medicine are based on systems which lack the essence of humanity in it. Now, this is rather radical proposition, but I urge you to read on this. It all reflects that something is wrong with the current system and we need to inject humanity in it, okay? So I am telling you that the focus of our approach in UPM, Department of Architecture, is now to focus on humanness and humanity. And you must remember this word, keyword insan. That is the Malay, rather Arabic words depicting the word human. And why I highlight this term because there is currently a bit of misunderstanding what it means to be a human. Okay, so this is the next part of my lecture. So what is insan? Our second story. Sorry, this story actually consists of two stories. Okay, I hope you can see these two movie posters. Okay, on the left is the Bicentennial Man. Sorry, the title is in Spanish, I think. Played by Robin Williams, and on the right is Matrix played by Keanu Reeves as Neo. Okay, we all know what it means to be human, but really, do we? Bicentennial Man is the story of a robot with artificial intelligence, who through 200 years learns what does a human do, and in the story desires to be human. On the other side of the coin, in the photo in the right is the Matrix, the story of how a human can live, but with artificial life story, artificial memory fed into his brain to make him think he is a fully functioning human in a real world. Actually, both stories are unsettling. Would you accept the robot as human, or would you accept the false story fed into Neo's brain as a valid life? It brings us to the question of what we mean by human. We are, of course, physical. We have biological suit, a body, and we are also metaphysical, as being told by almost all religions and spiritual systems in the world. Even people who doesn't believe in God believe in creative essence that push the universe forward. Okay, so we started off that by nature we understand that human consists of many things, not just the physical body, but we also have other dimensions, and this is what we call metaphysical. So physical and metaphysical. Okay. We all agree that we have passions, we have dreams, we know love, we hate pain, we run from fear. Modern science have managed to separate these two aspects together for nearly 500 years. Okay, this is a story of the separation between mind and body. It was in the 17th century proposed by René Descartes, a philosopher in Europe, saying that, since all the metaphysical aspect of human is very difficult to quantify, to handle, to predict, why don't we treat it as two separate things? The human body as a mechanical, actually biomechanical system, and the metaphysical aspects, the spirits, emotion, hearts, intuition, are a different part. He does not negate the importance of a spirit, but this separation allows human to progress. When you treat human as a mechanical system or biomechanical systems, we made a lot of advance in technology. Okay, so eventually science and technology managed to focus on human as a mechanical being with, in our mind we have clocks, cogs and wheels to operate and to think and how to understand the world phenomena. So this is the triumph of modern science. Okay, we create a lot of things with this. We create machines, we create medicines, information technology. We have an explosion of technological advancement. We go to the moon because of this understanding that we can manipulate the world through science and technology. Okay. So what René Descartes René Descartes did was to advance the cause of science. So we advance in this sense. However, there is a downside to this worldview. But another aspect of Descartes' philosophy is called reductionism. It is a worldview that it pushes you to think humanity as a mechanical clock. You can take it apart and put it back together and it will work just fine. But as we have seen and we believe, this is not true for human. The story of Frankenstein tried to address this issue. Okay, you see that in the West, they have a lot of stories trying to deal with technology, with science, and a lot of things. And I believe we are missing stories in our development. We don't read novels, we don't read fictions anymore. We give really little emphasis to arts, but that's not the point. The point here is that we cannot treat human the same way we treat mechanical clock. If you take human apart and try to stitch them together, you will get Frankenstein monster. In fact, he was not a monster. He is a living being, but trying to understand what type of human it is, and this led him to crisis of understanding who he was. He was made out of different parts of different human. Eventually, when you put it as a person, does it mean that you create a human? Okay. Sad story, really. Okay. So the consequences are dire. Another facet of reductionism is that you can view any problem in isolation of its parts. The isolation pushes us away from our ability to think holistically. We judge a phenomena by its small, visible, and measurable parts. We think prosperity can be measured by GDP. We think intelligence can be measured by CGPA and the number of A's we have achieved in our previous education. We produce technology that are amoral, not immoral, amoral. That means the morality comes from whoever have the access to the technology. It can be seen also in knowledge and education. We are currently focusing on information, on data. We focus on the brain. We forgot how to use our heart, our instinct, our emotion, our soul, our spirit. We lose the big picture. Technology is a double-edged sword. The good and bad of the sword depends on the human who is holding it. Developing a system where the engineering, economy, law, architecture, that is void of human essence in it will result in catastrophe. And these are the faces of humanity we see even at this 21st century. We see that we are struggling with environmental change. People are dying from war and famine, and these are stories of these days. So we need to ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? Okay. If we develop our civilization as a mechanical system for mechanical being, we will have lots of architects but no affordable homes. We will have lots of engineers but lack of infrastructure. Still, many people don't have roads, water, proper schools, for the poor. We have lots of accountants, but corruption and embezzlement still happens. We have lots of productions, but many people will still be hungry and poor. Okay, so what does the word human or insan do? Okay, like I've been talking about, if we don't put humanity in our approach, in our education, in our architecture, we will have this crisis. So if we bring back the essence of human in our approach to world problem, what does it mean? What does it look like? So this brings us to my third story, that is the story of the big broken jar. Okay. This story was told by an industrial designer. Okay, many years ago, I heard this in a lecture. I can't remember the name of the speaker, and I can't remember the details of the story. But it goes something like this. In the UK, there was a problem of transporting a specific medicinal jar, and they requires this special jar of certain size and design. The problem was in transit and handling when the workers, the nurses bring it around the wards and hospitals. There are a lot of cases where this jar broke and it costs a lot of money to the government. So then they developed procedure and protocol how to handle this jar. There is a quality system of how to handle this jar. Not unlike ISO we have today. We have all these procedures and ways how to handle this jar. There are strict regulation on how to do this. However, the accident still happened. So the designer was approached by the government to design an unbreakable jar and at minimum cost. During his research, he surveyed the hospitals around the country on the data of the broken jars. He found in all hospitals, there are cases of broken jars still, except one. So curiously, he went to the hospital, started asking around, Upon investigation, he found that all the same procedures are in place. So he interviewed the manager, the director, all the workers. They use the same system, the same management protocol on how to handle this jar. Eventually, he approached the nurses and workers who finally handled this jar and asked around. So when he asked them how did they do this, they pointed out that on their first day of training on how to handle the jar, they were briefed by an old matron with a peculiar training advice. Then he interviewed the matron and asked, how did she do this? She said to everyone she trained that when you hold this jar, hold it as if you are holding a baby. That's it. What she was doing was, she was invoking the human aspect of the workers. When the humanness of the workers are invoked, when people start to regard this as another human, and we know that the innate love a mother has for baby, and she invoked this feeling inside the human. And when the humanness of the workers are invoked, no single jar was broken. This is the power of the real meaning of human. That you have passion, you have sentiments, you have love, you have fear, and lots more, which otherwise no management system, no ISO, no technique, or no technology could solve. Okay, right. So how do you bring insight or humanness into the modern knowledge in education? This brings me to my last story. Okay, I believe everybody had seen this story before. It's Ratatouille. It's a CGI animated movie by Pixar, I think. Okay. In the movie, this character here is Ego Anton. He is a food critic who is very, very vicious towards all the restaurants. The way he criticizes all the food by all the chefs was very, very vicious. Okay. So finally, one day, the restaurant, the chef, invited him to dine at his restaurant. And at the first bite, the taste evoked the memory of his loving mom during his childhood. Okay, and because of that, he changed his whole perception towards food and towards dining. And after that, he became a different person. Okay, the meal is just a simple concoction of ingredients with specific chemical reaction. It's a recipe being handled by a chef. Cooked in certain way. It's a chemical reaction, really. But the taste reached his soul beyond his tongue. It evoked memories, his own life stories, his inner being. This is what changed him, his personality. Now, here, the challenge for us lecturers is how to give information that reach the level of knowledge and wisdom. How do we reach to your heart, your soul, and your spiritual being? And on your side, dear students, the challenge is to open up your heart, your soul, your inner being to be receptive of ideas. These have been closed for 500 years since René Descartes introduced the separation between mind and body. Okay, I want to conclude with this message that we have to strive to evoke the humanness in us, our inner selves, our heart, our soul, our spirit. Each of you have memories of your childhood, of your parents, of your friends, no matter sweet or bitter memories. These are all part of you. So whenever you receive information, you have received knowledge, take it deep into your inner self to understand what it means to the world. In everything we do, find out the human parts in us, and we are all different. Yet if humanness is the common language we start to relearn, there is a possibility for a better world. So when you receive information from your lecturer, if it stays in your brain for just retrieval in your exam, you are not gaining much from the university. You are only getting information, which you could do just by Googling anyway. If you get an A in exam for energy subject, which I teach this semester, but you leave the studio without switching off lights and air conditioning, even though no one was there, then the A you get does not mean much. So please try to use your whole being, your passion, your heart, your values, your soul, your spirit, to weigh and elevate the information you received to the level of wisdom, of meaning. Evoke the metaphysical aspect inside you, so that you remember in the future, when you draw a line for your next building, you are not drawing just a line, but you are creating meaning. You are telling a new story. You are nurturing a human being. You are drawing a big picture. Look for meaning, not just information. Revel in arts, in paintings, in poetry. This is another thing that I would advise the student to do. They help you to think the bigger picture as well as they strengthen the channels to reach deep in your heart and soul. In fact, this semester I am proposing a play based on environmentalism. There is no mark and credit for this, but those who want to volunteer to get involved, you will get invaluable experience. If the skills and information you get from lecturer does not make you feel alive, then look for more. Strive for more and ask for more. I want to conclude by wishing you the best in your journey to become a successful architect. What type of profession you want to venture into. Let us know how to help you within the challenging time. All the best and thank you.